What's happening, guys? We have Esme the Dancer coming up, and she is, well, she's questionable. So we're here to see if you should go for the fusion at all. So first of all, let's look at the champion herself, and then we'll look at the fusion plan and see what route we'll take, how we'll take it on. She's another barbarian, guys. I find that, look how many legendary barbarians there are. It's bonkers. I tell you what, a Lego that's not in the barbarian faction is Karato Fox Hunter, and if you'd like to skip a fusion and get him for free when you start a new account, click on the link below and you will get him and 4 free epics as well, which is pretty huge, to be honest, because you get Uugo with decreased defense and block buffs, you get Rector Drath with revive and AoE veil, you get Mausoleum Mage with a heal and a cleanse and block debuffs, and you also get one more who is the backbone of my free to play account at the moment in Tagoar. So check out that link below and let's look at Esme here. So character model, as always, pretty cool, can't go wrong. They always do the models really well. She kind of looks very similar to Armand's as well, in that kind of gypsy-esque kind of look as well. So that's really cool. Now we have Blade Juggler, attacking one enemy and decrease attack or increase attack on all allies for 1 turn. So AoE increase attack on all allies on the A1 is pretty good. So if you're early game and looking to get increased attack on your allies, you can't go wrong with that. Okay, then A2 attacks all enemies, 75% chance of placing a weaken and a block buffs debuff for 2 turns. So weaken and block buffs, AoE, that's pretty good for Hydra. You want to then couple her with an AoE decreased defense champion, so you have a few options for that, but it depends on what your account is like. Then also decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 20%. Okay, there's a full stop there, and then if Modo of the Peel is on the same team, turns that into a steal instead. So steals 20% of each enemy's turn meter instead. So that's pretty good, because if you're thinking about Spider, that is basically turns this into an Armand's type move, where she's getting full turn meter off that and going again, and that's on a 3-turn cooldown, so she's getting back around to this fairly quickly. Hydra, that's not going to do anything. Clan Boss, not going to do anything. Waves, it will be very good. So any wave base or spider or dungeon waves, and maybe even bosses as well, that'll be all right. Anything involving any dragons, it's not going to work on, because turn meter doesn't work on any dragons in the game. There's a little tidbit you may not have known. If it's a dragon, turn meter reduction doesn't work. Blessing of the Sands level 1 places a 50% increase accuracy buff and a 30% increased speed buff on all allies. Increased accuracy and increased speed are pretty huge, guys. So I'm looking at things differently lately because I'm doing that free to play account. Increased accuracy just allows you to land so much more of your debuffs when you're coming up through the levels, because accuracy isn't necessarily that easy to get when you're trying to balance the initial survivability on your team and all of that. So you're coming up through easy, normal, hard, brutal clan boss. You have to really try and balance your ability to survive with your ability to do damage and to place debuffs and stuff like that. So increased accuracy would go a hell of a way towards doing that. And then increased speed on all allies as well means you're going to get more turns to land those debuffs. So that is really good. That's on a 4-turn cooldown though. So that's, I'm not mad about that, okay? Has a 75% chance of removing all buffs from all enemies, and that's a full stop there as well. And if Modo the Peel is on the same team, has a 75% chance of stealing all buffs from all enemies instead. So turns it into a steal instead of a remove. So it's an increased accuracy, increased speed, and enemy cleanse, enemy remove all buffs. That's pretty good. So if you're early game, you know, you're coming up against some hard champions, like think of waves with Valkyries in them, they're getting counter attack up there. Being able to remove all the buffs from them, all the counter attacks are gone. Being able to remove increased attack off the clan boss or or increased attack off the head of Wrath and Hydra. All of these things are really, really good. And then if Modo's on the team, it's a steal instead. Now, I like to look at them in isolation because looking at a pair as one champion isn't fair. You have to look at them on their own merit, unless it's something that becomes absolutely insane, you know, and unless you know you're going to actually get those champions, you know. So passive effect, beguiling moves, when hit has a 15% chance of randomly changing the attacker's critical hits to weak, normal, or strong hits. If Modo's on the team, it gives you a bigger chance. Whenever this champion is hit, increases the turn meter of the ally with the highest attack by 50%. So that breaks any speed tunes, okay? So unless it is a loose speed tune and you want other champions to go more. So if you're thinking about Hydra now with the reduced amount of turns, it's gone from 1500 to 1000 turns. So you want your champions going more, do more turns to do more damage. That's not the way it is with clan boss and stuff like that. In a lot of the dungeons, you want tightly controlled teams that don't break any speed tunes. So in dungeons, she's a bad idea. In Hydra and in Chimera, she could actually be very, very good. So you have to think about that there as well. You have to think about everything in as a whole, really, you know. So for those two bosses, this is good because Chimera especially has such a low turn meter, not a turn meter, a turn count, 65 turns, boss turns. Getting your champions to go more is the difference between absolutely blitzing Chimera and not, okay? And the fact that this does the champion with the highest attack, that's very, very impactful, or can be. So there's a lot of stuff here to unpack because it's a very early and late game kit, but it's also very specific and niche, okay? So let's look at what we have to do to get her, and then we'll make, does she have any champion lore? Okay, so she has some there as well. Actually, she has a good bit. I won't check it out just yet, but she is tied in with the Ogren because we know what's his face, Modo, is an Ogren as well. So let's check out this fusion plan. Let's turn this on here. We can see that now. Yeah, we can indeed. So we have Spider Tournament live right now. We have Champion Training Tournament live as well. You're going to couple in Spider Tournament and Dungeon Divers. Champ Training if you can as well. If you can triple up on the three of them together. If you have a solo farmer for Spider like Shumesia, like Newt can do it now. If you have Marius, you know, if you have Marius, you probably don't need to hear me talking about anything. Even what you call him, my most wanted Autorian, Wallmaster Autorian. But even you could do spider farming on 10. 10 is actually an incredibly good points to energy ratio for spider tournaments, and actually you'll get very good returns doing that and Dungeon Divers if you're just looking for the silver and the energy. So the silver brings me on to the next point. If you want to do this efficiently, farm spider with as few champions as possible and food, so you can do your champ training and the Dungeon Divers all in one. And I mentioned the silver, so you're selling your proceeds from spider and then you do your gear enhancement. Okay, now if you haven't finished spider, then if you have finished spider, you can ease up on that and finish Dungeon Divers along with Fire Knight. Now bearing in mind there's also a hero's path. Hero's path can be, I don't like seeing that in there, so that introduces a big element of the unknown for me, because hero's path, I don't think we know exactly what's in a hero's path every time, so that's an issue for me. However, looking at the event calendar here, we do see we have Champion Chase Tournament over here. Okay, so with that in mind, let me bring that up a bit more for you guys. So we have Champion Chase Tournament over here, and we're not seeing any other summoning event there. So in all likelihood, the Hero's Path is going to be a summon event coupled with something else, probably a Dungeon Divers if I am not mistaken, because there's no other Dungeon Divers on there. So this is definitely going to be back Dungeon Divers and a summon event in the Hero's Path. Now with that, you can do Dragon with that. Classic Arena is a gimme. Just make sure you get your fights in and you'll be fine. You need to train up champions again, and if you win that, you can get another 10 as well. Never ever rely upon that, okay? But there are extra fragments in this hero's path as well. There's 25 there, so there is an overage. So there's 15 extra points, so you can skip the champion chase if you want, or skip maybe this dungeon divers, but there is an element of uncertainty, okay? That's the thing that you have to watch out for. And then it looks pretty clear. It looks like a pretty easy, pretty clear fusion event, but there's a big element of uncertainty when you talk about this hero's path down here. So that's what gives me pause, guys. My recommendation is basically do everything. And can we skip this? Can we skip that? Let's move me. So if we're looking at this here, we have 55, we have 35 and 25. So that gives us 110. Yeah, 25 and 35 is 60 plus 55, 115. So we can get 10 points out of hero's path and leave the last 15. Then we have to do everything else, okay? We don't know how the points are divvied up in this. Now, that wouldn't be a problem if hero's path was right at the start, but it's not, okay? So that's, I don't like uncertainty. I like to know what it is that I have to do when I start these things off, how invested I have to be to get them. And this doesn't sit well with me because I know this is a dungeon divers on the back of a dungeon divers with a summon rush involved as well, and then a champion chase at the end. And I know that this isn't entirely skippable. Now you're going to be doing dungeon diver type stuff with Fire Knight and Dragon here as well. So yeah, it's the uncertainty around this that I don't like. So for me, I don't think she's worth going for. I think she has some really good stuff going on, but I don't think she's worth going for based on her kit and based on this being a hero's path here as well. So I think for me, it's a skip, guys. But if you aren't, double up on everything you can. Obviously, you're going to double up on Fire Knight Heroes Path and Dragon Tournament and Heroes Path as well. You're going to be summoning during this, so you'll get food for the champ training as well. And then if you complete this, you can skip a whole load here, but you don't know what you need to do for this to do that. So that's what I don't like. All right, guys. So look, that's my take. It's a skip from me. Esme does look like a cool champion. She does look like she has utility. She doesn't look like she's a game changer in any way, shape or form. So I think that's pretty clear cut for me. She wouldn't change my account dramatically. She doesn't do anything super unique that I couldn't get in some way, shape or form somewhere else. So yeah, it's a pass. It's a pass, guys. But look, if you do want other good champions, use that link below. While you're down there, hit the like and subscribe, and I will catch you later. Take care, guys. Bye bye.